Hi, everyone. Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm glad you found your way to this space. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. My name is Derek. Of all the things life throws at you, nothing hits quite like betrayal. I've dealt with a lot of things, but nothing compares to the moment I walked in on the person I planned to marry, with my best friend since college. I still remember the day I met Erica. It was one of those long, dragging mornings where you're half nervous, half bored, standing outside some corporate building with a group of strangers, all waiting to be called in for a job interview. Everyone looked stiff. You could practically feel the anxiety in the air. I'm not usually the type to crack jokes in a tense setting like that, but for some reason, I looked around at everyone and just said something dumb. Can't even remember exactly what it was. But it landed. People laughed. And that's when I noticed the lady behind me, who laughed the hardest, actually. Noticed me, smiled, said something back. We ended up talking more while we waited. Before the interviews wrapped up, we exchanged numbers. I didn't think much of it then, just figured she was someone cool I'd like to keep in touch with. A few days later, I got a call. I'd landed the job. Erica didn't. I was almost hesitant to tell her at first, didn't want to rub it in. But when I did, she was genuinely happy for me. From there, we kept talking. Just regular check-ins, little jokes, occasional coffee hangouts when our schedules aligned. What started off as a friendly back and forth turned into more. I think we both just realized over time that we weren't looking for distractions. There was no big moment or fireworks type scene where we officially got together. We just confessed our feelings to each other. One day, we were friends, and then we weren't just friends anymore. When Erica and I first started dating, things went smoothly. We'd hang out after work or on weekends, talk about movies, complain about our bosses, and dream about what we'd do in 5 years. The feeling was out of this world. But as time passed, I started seeing more of the reality behind Erica's life, especially when it came to her family. She didn't talk about it much at first, but little things would slip, like how she'd send money to her parents every month. Or how she couldn't go out some weekends because she was covering her dad's medication or helping her mom pay for a utility bill. At first, I thought it was just the occasional thing, something temporary. But over time, I started to understand that Erica wasn't just supporting her parents here and there. She was holding them up. She wasn't just the daughter in that house. She was the backbone. Her parents depended on her for more than just calls and visits. They leaned on her heavily. It wasn't until later that I found out exactly why. Her dad had once worked for a multinational corporation. He'd spent years there, loyal to a fault. But one day on the job, he got injured. Badly. It was the kind of injury that ended careers. Instead of being taken care of, he was let go quietly, with barely enough to cover a few months of expenses. No real compensation. No accountability. He tried to sue the company, believing justice would come through the courts. But all it did was drain him. Legal fees piled up. Hospital bills didn't wait. By the end of it, he lost everything he had managed to save, and worse, he still couldn't work. Her mom stepped up where she could. She was a teacher at a small community school, making barely enough, but she kept the lights on and food on the table. Eventually, though, even that had to end. The school pushed her into early retirement, and just like that, their only steady income was gone. That's the world Erica came from. She didn't get to choose ease or comfort. She went to college knowing full well it meant debt, but what other option did she have? It wasn't something she complained about, not openly. But I could see the weight she carried. The way her eyes lit up when a new job posting came up with better pay than the one she had wasn't just ambition. It was survival. She needed something better, not for herself alone, but for them too. And I got it. I respected it. So I stepped in. Not because she asked me to, but because I cared. I started helping out quietly, covering small things at first. Groceries. A bill here and there. Then it turned into more, helping with rent, paying for her dad's hospital visit when things got rough, sending something over to her mom when I knew they were struggling. I figured if we were building a life together, I could help her carry a little of that load. Erica was always thankful. She'd hug me a little tighter, send long texts at night telling me how much it meant to her. And her parents? They started to see me as part of the family. I wasn't just the boyfriend anymore. I was the guy who showed up when things got hard. They'd call to thank me, invite me over for dinners. I didn't mind. It felt like I was doing the right thing. One rainy Tuesday, Erica had texted me saying she wasn't feeling well and wouldn't make it to work. I immediately asked if she needed anything, soup, medicine, anything to make her feel better. She brushed it off with a laugh, told me she'd be fine, and that she could handle herself. I guess she assumed I'd be stuck at the office all day, too busy to do anything. And maybe she'd be right. But that day, I just felt something. Maybe I just missed her. We'd both been busy lately, and I thought surprising her might brighten her day a little. I didn't call. I didn't want to ruin the surprise. I knew her. If I told her I was coming, she'd probably say not to bother, that she didn't want me to get wet or go out of my way. I also knew she'd be home because we'd synced our iPhones months ago for safety reasons. I could see her location in real time, and sure enough, she was right there at her apartment. So during my lunch break, I grabbed her usual coffee order, added those cookies she loved, and drove straight to her place. I even smiled a little, thinking about how surprised she'd be when I showed up with her favorites. I had no clue I was driving straight into a moment that would change everything. I parked outside and walked up to the door, juggling the coffee and snacks, trying not to spill anything. I still had the spare key she'd given me months back when we got the house. I unlocked the door quietly, thinking I'd creep in and tease her a bit before handing her the coffee. But the moment I stepped in, the whole energy in the room was different. There were clothes on the floor, hers and a man's. A shirt, jeans, and socks. It was like someone had just peeled themselves out of their skin and dropped it all in the hallway. At first, my brain didn't connect the dots. I stood there frozen for a second. My feet moved on their own, following the trail of clothes all the way to the bedroom door. I didn't want to look. God knows I didn't. But I did. And there she was, Erica, in bed, with my best friend of 7 years. The guy I met back in college, who had been to my family home, who had helped me move apartments, who sat beside me the day I told him I was going to propose to her. That same guy. And now he was lying there, half covered, right next to the woman I had planned to marry. My brain just blanked. The coffee slipped out of my hand, hit the floor, and splashed everywhere. And in that moment, everything in my world tilted. All I could do was stand there, completely stunned, while they both scrambled for clothes. And honestly, those few seconds of just staring hurt more than any yelling ever could. Finally, I forced her name out. Erica. Almost like a whisper. She didn't say anything. She just scrambled to grab her clothes. Then I turned to my best friend and asked, "How long has this been going on?" With the woman I was supposed to marry. He looked panicked and guilty, like a man who just realized he'd set his own life on fire. He started saying, "Man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen," but before he could finish, Erica cut him off. She didn't cry or apologize. She stood there, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "What are you going to do?" Cry. And in that moment, something in me shifted. I wasn't going to give either of them the satisfaction of seeing me break. I was hurt, deeply, but I wasn't going to crumble in front of them. So I smiled, then turned around, walked out of the bedroom, and shut the door behind me like I was sealing a coffin. I left everything behind in that room, my trust, my future with her, the years I spent building something with a woman I thought I knew. The rain had started again by the time I got to my car. I sat there for a second, engine off, just listening to it hit the roof. Then I started the car and drove back to the office. During the drive, my mind was just running in loops. Different kinds of revenge played out in my head. What I wanted to say, what I should have done. I knew I had power they didn't expect, and I was going to use it. Quietly, completely. Back at the office, I sat in my chair, took a deep breath, and started taking control of what I could control. The first thing I did was pull up the lease agreement for Erica's apartment. It was in my name. She couldn't get it herself because of her poor credit score. I had done that for her, thinking I was helping the woman I was going to marry. But that generosity ended the moment I saw her with my best friend. I got in touch with the landlord and gave formal notice. She wasn't going to be living rent-free in a place I paid for, not after what she did. That was me drawing a line. Next, I remembered I had scheduled a bank transfer for later that week. Money that was supposed to go to her parents to help with their monthly medication and bills. I canceled it immediately because I was setting boundaries. I had taken on the role of provider for a family that wasn't even mine, out of love for Erica. But that love came with expectations, loyalty, honesty, basic respect. She threw all of that away. I wasn't going to keep supporting people who probably didn't even know the truth about what she had done. Then I sent Erica a message, telling her she had 7 days to pay back every single dollar she borrowed from me during her parents' medical emergencies. I even listed out the amounts with dates. She had leaned on me financially for years, and I had always stepped up. But now she could learn what it means to stand on her own. As for my best friend, well, he knew the fallout was coming the moment I caught him. We had been working on a deal together, something I pulled him into that had real money on the table. I revoked his access and kicked him out of every project we were co-developing. I also let our mutual friends know exactly what happened. Some of them had the nerve to ask if I was sure. I said I walked in on it. What else was there to know? By the end of that workday, I hadn't cried, but I had made damn sure that both of them felt the weight of what they had done. They lost access to my life, my support, my future, in the span of a few hours. That night, when I got home, I walked straight to my bedroom and turned my phone on silent. I knew the calls would come, the excuses, the begging, the attempts to flip the script or guilt-trip me. But I wasn't going to give them that chance. So I put my phone face down, muted, and just sat there in the dark. Just me and my thoughts, trying to process how the two people I trusted most had managed to stab me in the back at the same time. When I woke up the next morning, I had missed calls. Dozens of them. Erica, her parents, my former best friend, even a couple of mutual friends, probably people who'd already heard some twisted version of what happened. I didn't open any of the voicemails. I didn't read the messages, but I saw the previews. Erica's text started with, "I messed up, please," and then trailed off. My so-called friend had sent one message after the other, saying things like, "Bro, it wasn't like that," and "let me explain," as if there was anything left that needed explaining after I saw them in bed together. I didn't answer, and I sure as hell didn't want to hear their voices trying to convince me that what I saw with my own eyes wasn't real. Later that day, I heard a knock on my door. I didn't even need to check the peephole. I just knew it was her. She knocked a few more times, then called out my name. I waited until she left because I honestly didn't have the energy to pretend she deserved a conversation. Then came the text that really got to me, not because it softened me, but because it showed how little she truly understood. She said, "You can punish me all you want, but please don't stop helping my parents. They didn't do anything wrong." That's when I realized she didn't get it. She still thought I owed her something. Still thought I could just put aside the betrayal and keep playing the role of savior to her family while she destroyed the foundation we built. I didn't reply because I had nothing left to say. Some things can't be fixed with an apology, no matter how many people you get to call or how many times you show up at someone's doorstep. A few days after everything blew up, the truth started trickling in. What I learned made the whole thing even worse. Turns out, my best friend had been feeding Erica lies behind my back. He told her I was cheating on her, that I wasn't doing as well as I claimed, that the money I was using to help her and her family, borrowed, that I was living off handouts and pretending to be something I wasn't. And somehow, in all that mess, he painted himself as the better man, as someone she could rely on, someone more stable, more honest, more successful. And Erica believed him. She looked at my friend and thought he was an upgrade. That explained a lot, especially the boldness in her eyes when I caught them together. The confidence she had when she mocked me. She thought she traded up. But once I pulled the rug out, I think she finally saw the truth. I think she realized he wasn't who he claimed to be. That all those lies were just that, lies. But by then, I didn't care. I wasn't interested in what she'd figured out or whether she regretted it. I had already made my decision. I was done with both of them. Some things break and just stay broken. Actions have consequences, and Erica learned that quickly. She probably didn't realize how fast things would move. I kept receipts of every loan she promised to repay, but never did. I took it to my lawyer. And I wasn't bluffing. I gave her 7 days to start returning what she owed. When the silence on her end dragged out, my lawyer began preparing to sue her. I just wanted my money back. What happened next was almost laughable. Suddenly, my phone started ringing again after she got sued. Everyone was trying to talk to me, trying to explain her side, to ask me to please reconsider. She even sent a long message saying I could punish her all I want, but not to let her parents suffer. I read it. Then I deleted it. I wasn't interested in guilt trips or second chances. You don't burn down someone's house and ask them to lend you a blanket. Everything she lost wasn't because I retaliated. It was because she thought I wouldn't. She gambled on my silence. She misjudged me. And now she was learning the hard way that betrayal might be free in the moment, but it costs everything after. Thank you for listening.